This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk a little bit more about how Bitcoin is going to destroy all other cryptocurrencies, all altcoins. And in order to talk about this, I'm going to be talking about the new Bitcoin improvement proposals called Taro. If you don't think there's any development being done on Bitcoin, if you think Bitcoin is old tech, it's very important that you watch this video and understand how the protocol is being built in layers, just like the internet. So if you want to build the best money in the world, it's very important to first focus on the foundation. It's just like building a house. You don't want to build a house on a slanted foundation or a foundation that's really permeable or that's built on sand or some other thing like that. So Bitcoin has, since 2009, the real focus has been on the base layer and making it as secure as possible using proof of work, as decentralized as possible, as neutral as possible. And Satoshi really helped with this by leaving the project so early on and not staying on as a controlling oligarch like people like Charles Hoskinson with Cardano or Vitalik Buterin with Ethereum. And also the amazing thing about Bitcoin too is it has this highly credible, predictable monetary policy. There are only so many Bitcoin issued per block, and this halves every 4 years. This has never been changed. And so this is how you would build the best money in the world. You'd first focus on that base layer, and then you'd start to add layers on top of that. And as I said, the internet itself was built in the same way. You had these foundational protocols like HTTP and HTML and SMTP, etc. And then you built companies, more protocols, and then eventually companies on top of those protocols. This is how most engineering solutions work. They're built in layers in the same way that you would build a house in layers. How not to build the best money in the world, how to basically create your own coin, print up your own money, and get as rich as possible, as quickly as possible by scamming. Start with a huge pre-mine that privileges insiders. This is what Cardano did. This is what XRP did. This is what Ethereum did. Keep changing the base layer. Keep changing the monetary policy. Ethereum has done this innumerable times since its inception. Keep changing the consensus mechanism. This is crazy. This is like flying an airplane at 40,000 feet and trying to take out the engines and change the engines, or taking off a wing and reattaching a wing. This is literally what Ethereum is doing with their very large market cap of hundreds of billions. They're going to be switching from proof of work to proof of stake. Another way not to build the best money in the world: roll back the chain, roll back history whenever you don't like whatever just happened. This is what Vitalik did with the DAO hack in 2017 with Ethereum. And then, of course, dump on retail investors as quickly as you can. Vitalik has sold 25% of his Ethereum. Satoshi has obviously never sold a single sat or single penny. So this is the contrast: building a very strong base layer and building a very weak base layer. And this is really important, as we're going to see. Here's a great example. I'll link to this if you haven't seen it yet. Solana billionaires laughing about how they're going to dump on retail investors. Obviously, XRP was launched with an unregistered securities offering. And even if the SEC isn't able to put these guys in jail, which is where I think they belong, it really impairs the neutrality of the money when you magically have Ripple, the corporation, end up with all these printed tokens. People say XRP was created before Ripple, and this is technically true. But what they don't explain is how this corporation based in San Francisco magically ended up with most of the XRP. What a happy coincidence, I would say, for the executives there. Another way not to build strong money, as we said, is to have a really weak base layer that's funded by VCs who are going to dump on you, and that's not even that secure. That keeps going offline. If you're finding this video helpful so far, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and share this video with a few friends who are into other cryptocurrencies. So I made a very bold claim at the beginning of this video. Why is Bitcoin going to destroy all altcoins? Why is Bitcoin going to win? Well, it's going to win because it's the only cryptocurrency with a credibly secure and neutral base layer. As we said, all the other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, XRP, they're all built on foundations of sand. And then we'll hear in the comments, of course, from altcoiners, but my coin is faster, my coin is better. Yes, it probably is faster, but that's because it's centralized. If you run things out of a highly centralized mechanism as Solana does, for example, it's going to be very fast. Visa is very fast too, but it's built on US banking rails. It's not truly decentralized. So these are the trade-offs in engineering. There are always trade-offs between speed, centralization, control, security, etc. And every other cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin is much more centralized than Bitcoin, probably controlled by oligarchs like Vitalik or Charles Hoskinson. Less secure, it might ultimately depend on fiat banking rails, or like Ethereum, it might be highly dependent on third-party companies like Infura, Amazon Web Services, etc. So your faster, better coin that has these really cool features, it's not censorship resistant, and it's not neutral. So this is the real point of the video here, and where Taro and Taproot come in. Your altcoin is just another future feature on Bitcoin. Your altcoin is just another future feature on Bitcoin. It's very important to internalize this. And so what this means is, guess what this means for the value, the future value of your altcoin? Yes, it's on its way to zero, as so many cryptocurrencies trend against Bitcoin. They're always trending to zero. And I think a great example of thinking about this historically is what is the market value of your iPhone or Android app when Google or Apple adds that feature to their existing apps. So there was a great example of this back in 2014. There was a special new app that allowed you to calculate your estimated time of arrival, your ETA, while driving and doing this on a map. So this was an independent app. Obviously, Google Maps and Apple Maps now allow you to figure out your ETA. And so this app is basically worthless. It was standalone. It was a cool idea, but it just became a feature on someone else's stronger app, which was Google's operating system or Apple's operating system. And this is what I think we're seeing happening with Bitcoin. All the functionality, all the features of altcoins will eventually end up on Bitcoin, thus rendering these altcoins worthless. So I'll give you an example of how this is working in real time. And it's an example that a lot of altcoiners are not even aware of. So we have the Lightning Network, which is this layer 2 that's built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. It uses the same token as Bitcoin, as a Bitcoin network. It uses BTC. You lock up BTC on the base layer, and then you can use it on Lightning, so it doesn't increase the supply of Bitcoin, as a lot of altcoiners claim. That's just simply not true. Lightning Network is a completely open network. It's permissionless. It's not controlled by any company. It's not controlled by Lightning Labs or any other Lightning company. It's an open network, just like the Bitcoin network. Anyone can build on it. Anyone can interact with it. So that's the Lightning Network. That's a layer 2 solution built on top of the base layer of Bitcoin. The second ingredient we need here is Taproot, which was this soft fork. It was an upgrade, an optional upgrade to the Bitcoin Core software that added some new cryptography back in November of 2021 and added some more functionality. For example, allowing you to hide what a particular address was doing, whether it was multi-sig or single sig, for example. So that's Taproot. We had the Lightning Network. Using these two building blocks, something very interesting has happened. It was just announced about 3 weeks ago, and it's called Taro, which stands for Taproot Asset Representation Overlay. And what it does is it uses the Lightning Network, and it uses the functionality that came with the Taproot upgrade to add new functionality on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. So under Taro, if this is approved, and if these Bitcoin improvement proposals are rolled out, if the community decides that this is a good thing, this will mean that any asset will be able to be issued on the Bitcoin blockchain. And then that asset can be moved over the Bitcoin network, or it can be moved over the Lightning Network. As we've talked about in previous videos, the Lightning Network is incredibly fast, incredibly cheap, and it's built on a foundation of granite, a foundation of stone, which is the Bitcoin blockchain itself. So Taro, this new protocol that uses Taproot, it will allow for atomic swaps between any Taro asset and BTC and Bitcoin. It also will allow for a very nice form of multi-sig as well. What Taro is going to make possible on top of the Bitcoin blockchain is NFTs, if you really want that. I'm not a huge fan of them, as I've said, but this will be possible. It'll be possible to move around wrapped altcoins on the Bitcoin network or the Lightning network, where basically you would lock up. There is sort of trust involved here, as there always is with, for example, wrap Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin on the Ethereum network, where you have a custodian that you need to trust that issues that holds the actual Bitcoin and then issues what's called wrap Bitcoin on top of Ethereum. And so this is if people want it, this will be available. And then most importantly, stable coins, being able to send US dollars or any other fiat currency anywhere in the world instantaneously, basically for free over the Lightning network. And this is not something that a lot of people are talking about. This will take years to roll out and to be fully functional. But you can imagine what this does to the existing stablecoin ecosystem when this kind of functionality is available on the Bitcoin network and on the Lightning network. This is, I see an article like this as something like one of the early announcements about the Apple iPhone, and people really had no idea what the iPhone was going to enable. The companies that were going to be built on top of everyone having a mobile computer in their pocket, companies like Uber and Airbnb, etc. And so this is, I think this is what we're seeing happening with Bitcoin. This is another sign that we're very, very early. So Taro is going to enable, probably the main use case will be for stablecoins. Eventually, stablecoins are going to go away because fiat currencies are going to go away, or they're all going to be absorbed into CBDCs. But for the time being, stablecoins are a very large market, and it'll now be possible to do them on the Lightning network. So I'll link to 2 articles here about Taro if you want to read a little bit more in depth about the protocol and how it's going to work. Here is also an article I'll link to from the Bitcoin Dev mailing list where Taro is being introduced and talked about. So if you're a little bit more technical, you can go read about how this is going to work. But the real reason I made this video, I made it as an answer to people who are constantly saying in my comments that Bitcoin is old tech, or it's boomer coin, or it's never been upgraded. There's this misapprehension in the altcoin communities that the Bitcoin is still running on the same software that was created by Satoshi. And this is just a blatant lie that is promulgated by altcoin promoters. Bitcoin has been upgraded very slowly, but the software is constantly changing. And as we saw with Taproot, for example, the upgrade in November of 2021, the idea that no one is working on Bitcoin, these are just complete lies that are told to naive retail investors in order to sell them altcoins. So Bitcoin really it's this foundational protocol and foundational community on which we're going to build a new and better world. When you're building a foundation, as we said at the beginning of this video, you want to move slowly and deliberately. You don't want to be like Facebook in its early days or any startup where you move fast and break things. This is sort of Ethereum's approach, and that's fine if you're running just any old startup. But if you're building new money and there are billions or hundreds of billions of dollars secured there, you don't want to move fast and break things. You want to move slowly and deliberately, and you want to exhibit low time preference behavior, which is one thing I really love about the Bitcoin community. People are focused on years and decades, whereas most altcoiners are focused on what their altcoin's going to do in fiat terms over the next 15 minutes. They just don't have this vision. Bitcoin is definitely the tortoise that wins the money race. And I'm going to end with this famous painting by Bruegel of the Tower of Babel. And there's something you may have seen this painting before, but there's something very subtle about it. Obviously, we know how the Tower of Babel ended. It ended very badly. Everyone started speaking different languages and wandered off. But what Bruegel shows in this painting, which I really like, is he shows that the tower is being built. It's not being built on a strong foundation. It's being built. It's sort of tilting, and as such, it's really doomed from the beginning. This is Bruegel's way of telling us that it's doomed from the beginning. Whenever I think of Ethereum or Cardano or XRP or Solana, I think of this painting, and I think of how, no matter how fancy it looks, the windows here, the tapestries, the beautiful colored brick is built on a foundation of sand, and as such, it's not going to last. It's going to end in ruins, just like the Tower of Babel did. By contrast, Bitcoin has this really secure foundation. It's being built very slowly and very deliberately and very carefully. And as such, it's going to we hear how software is eating the world. Bitcoin is eating the world of money, and it won't stop until it has devoured the entire money ecosystem. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.